It's so dark out here in space. And it's been so long since I've seen a face. My eyes are shut, but I can see the void between you and me. And I feel like I'm going insane. Help me. Is anybody there? Save me. I'm running out of air. Calling out Mayday. Calling out Mayday. Far from the sun, beyond stars, I hear their song. They're coming closer, talking without sound, calling me home. Calling out Mayday. Calling out Mayday. Save me. I'm running out of air. I'm running out of air. I'm running out of air. I'm running out of air.
Greetings, natural legislators. Welcome back to Disenthrall. I will be Patrick Smith. Today, one of our viewers is honoring me with his disagreement, and we're going to show you how two people that might disagree on some things have a conversation. So let's get into it. He has a plan, she has a plan, and you get to pay for it regardless.
The best way to get someone motivated is to stand for something strongly, deeply, passionately.
Subscribe to Disenthrall. Do as you're told.
Man, it's about time to update the intro. That's like 2 elections ago now where we got Hillary Clinton on there. All right, welcome to the show. You said it's Tyler, right?
Yeah, Tyler.
Okay, I've always known you as the Outlaw Barber. You've been in the comments and discussions for quite some time, years, I believe. And
Yeah.
you sometimes disagree, but you're always like kind and genuine in your responses in the comments. And so it's a pleasure to talk to you. How are you?
I'm good, Patrick. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Life's a little crazy, busy right now, but I guess in good ways.
Yeah, me too, man. But yeah, I followed you years ago. Remember, there was a guy named Rock Down 2, Electric Avenue on Facebook. Well, I got my account deleted, but man, that was years ago, and I always love your work, man.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. And my only fear is I have Evie down at my feet, and she's chewing on a bone very loudly. So I apologize if anybody hears bone gnawing sounds. But anyway, okay. So I think you might have been one of the people that asked me over a long period of time to give my thoughts on Passio's work. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe to a large extent when I tell people, hey, my listeners were interested in my opinions on Passio, some of that was from you at least. So it's cool that we're going to get to talk about it. So you asked for my you asked for my thoughts. You probably got way more than you asked for with that 13-hour live stream. But
I loved it.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, I thought what you did was very, I mean, that's about as professional as you can get, man. I mean, you broke down his work and you went literally 13 hours or 14. And, but yeah, I mean, at least you went through it step by step. You didn't leave no stone unturned. So I commend you for that. Nobody has done that. So,
well, I appreciate it. I really, really tried. I did, like I thought I've said this many times, so I won't go into a long diatribe on it. But when I think about the work that I've put out there into the world, and I think about the ways I want other people to critique my work, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to take it long form, as seriously as I can, and I think we did a good job. So, I mean, where is our disagreement?
I mean, basically, you know, you yourself hold the morality as subjective. I feel more of objective, but that's just because of I mean, it's more of like personal experiences, you know. And when I mean personal experiences, I mean not like religious or anything, but just my day-to-day life, and it just falls into place as far as natural law, objective morality. So, I mean, and I believe that objective morality is basically, you know, I mean, this is the way I view it. If your behavior does not cause harm to others, that's okay, that's a right. If your behavior does cause harm to others without provocation, that's a wrong. And that's how I live my day-to-day life. And it's worked out so far, man.
And I'll say again, like I mean, live your life. That sounds like a great way to live your life, and it sounds like you'll probably get along mostly perfectly well, and you know, nap-abiding, peaceful, cooperative, voluntarist life. And I don't disparage anybody that chooses to do that. The only disagreement I had with Passio's work was that, you know, he elevates it to the level of an objective science. And I'm sure I don't want to like reiterate too much, but I know we might have some people watching that haven't seen that stuff. So
yeah,
maybe I summarize really quickly and then maybe you can respond. Does this sound good? Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, cool. So Passio's contention is that sort of a sense of morality, a judgment of right and wrong can be gleaned from reality in the effect of basically basing it on what does and does not harm other creatures. And so if something harms a creature, it is a wrong, and if something doesn't harm a creature, then it is a right. And then he sort of trying to be charitable here. He takes something that he says is right, and he says, well, that is a right. And so things that don't harm other people, you have a right to do. Things that do harm other people, you don't have a right to do. And he calls that an objective, universal, non-man-made, and a couple other adjectives, morality.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
so my primary point of contention, no, that's fine. And so I think I hopefully accurately reflected back what his conception of natural law is. And my problem with that is that I don't see the receipts for it. I don't see the evidence for it in terms of actual, like, something that exists in reality, that functions objectively at all times and all places to the level that he's applying it to. And in his talk, I was presented with no evidence to really back up any of his assertions. So I'll leave it there. That's kind of my summary. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, you know, Mark, I mean, he's coming from a different background, you know, so that basically, you know, that has formed his ideas of basically what he thinks objective morality science is, you know, because he has a lot of information on the occult and stuff. And I know yourself, you're more of a free thinker, more of the atheist persuasion. I mean, I'm assuming. myself, I'm I guess, an agnostic. But yeah, so when you start studying these old, kind of like ancient hidden knowledge stuff, it starts matching up with like I said, what basically his ideas come from and stuff. I've studied the occult too for, I don't know, 6-7 years. So before I even came across Passio's work, and so but I'm a man of science and reason too. You got to break that stuff down. But the thing is, with me, I just think that, like I said, my life, the way I live, it just aligns itself. But I know you're basically, you're like, well, prove it. And I'm kind of with you, man. But I've had experiences in my life that, and they're just my personal experiences. But yeah, man, it basically connects the dots, like what Passio's work is. I mean, what he's done, for so many years. And I think he's, a pretty good guy as far as, just getting the message out there of freedom and liberty. But I love your work too, Patrick. I mean, like, it's awesome.
Doesn't have to be an either or. That's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. There is there is no war happening here between audiences.
No.
At least not from my perspective. So, yeah.
No, man, no. We're all friends here. We're all in the same community, So.
Yeah. So you said you brought up two things: dark occult and life experiences. I want to make sure that we cover both of those. Let's start with the occult stuff, because I hear that quite frequently from Passio followers. That he gets a lot of his knowledge from his history with the occult and his study of the occult. And I'm familiar enough with his work to know that when he talks about occult, he just basically means hidden knowledge. So there's these groups of people out there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I like to try and steel man the opposing position to make sure that I understand it, right? So to him, so the occult would be people, merely people that had access to hidden knowledge. And so that's what he would consider to be the occult. And the groups that have this hidden knowledge are able to manipulate the people in the world on a level that most people aren't aware of. And sort of exposing this hidden knowledge is a big part of what he tries to do. So how is that?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. But yeah, the word occult just means hidden knowledge. And you can use the same knowledge for good purposes or bad purposes. And that's where you get the dark and light and stuff like that. Like the Masons practice this stuff. There's lots of secret organizations. But anyways, they are, they know, it's basically like deep human psychology. And that's how they can manipulate and do all this stuff. But, coming from that background, like I said, I mean, I don't want to speak for the man, because I don't know him on a personal level. But, when you start studying that stuff, Patrick, and what these folks learn, like I said, it just sort of starts matching up with, like I said, his natural law stuff. But like I said, I was studying it years before I even ran across his work. So when I did run across his work, I'm like, man, who is this guy? Because he knew so much, about that stuff. But anyways, like I said, I totally get your point. Like, you have to prove it. And I'm more of like, the proof is on the pudding type stuff. It's not that you're disagreeing with his ideas. I mean, you are disagreeing with ideas, but in a very philosophical way, which, like I said, I think that's what we should do. We should sit down and have a conversation. And I wish he would have a conversation with you, Patrick.
Yep. Well, okay, so yeah, I'm not going to give him shit for not debating me anymore. I've done that enough.
No, I know.
I'm kind of over
I
it.
know.
But no, so I guess my question to you then is, because the impression I got from you as well as from a few other people is that I would understand Passio's work better if I understood the occult better. And so I guess my question to you right now would be, what about this occult, this hidden knowledge, am I missing that would clarify or reveal to me the existence of this natural law? Asked another way, it would be like, if the proof is in the pudding and the pudding is the occulted knowledge, well, give it to me. Like, what's the occulted knowledge that reveals the actual factual existence of this natural law as an objective morality woven into reality? So I guess that's kind of the same question phrased two different ways. What am I missing?
Oh yeah. So yeah, Patrick, I mean, all these ancient, like I said, secret societies, if you just, you're going to have, I mean, I'll try to send you some paperwork and stuff later. But they've been teaching this stuff for thousands of years, man, like these secret societies. And then, like I said, that's how they can control everything. Because once you essentially know how to manipulate your fellow humans, you can use that for good or bad. So like I said, I'll send you some stuff later. But it took me years of research to actually, and what I mean by that is I'm not trying to dodge the question or anything, but like natural law just lines up with like I said, all these ancient teachings and stuff. And I'm not religious, and these, like I said, these people, they are. I mean, like a lot of them, you know, they practice different religions. So, like I said, Passio's work, I can understand like how he derives natural law coming from the natural world. After studying this stuff, you know, but like I said, it's like a tapestry, Patrick. It takes a lot of years of reading on this stuff, but then it just clicks. Well, it did to me. So
I'm sorry if you see me looking down. I'm making sure the dog isn't chewing on the camera wires back. So if I disappear, it's because the dog ate the camera wire. That's what happened. Yeah, okay. So I've heard you say several times now that, you know, your life experience just lines up with it and it connects the dots and it kind of makes it make sense for you.
Sure.
It could be because it's almost tautological. And what I mean by that is and I said this in my summary of the conclusions after the long stream. I said, you know, basically you could summarize his argument to something along the lines of, the more peaceful a society is, the more peaceful a society is. And the less people are violent and harm each other, the less harm there is in society. It's kind of like well, yeah, obviously. I mean, it's tautological. Like, if there's less harm, there's less harm. If A equals A, then A equals A. It's like, oh, wow, congratulations. You really, you know, that's a big piece of knowledge there. So I guess I'm saying, like, look, like, if that's what's lining up with your life, well, of course it is, because it's tautological. Like, yeah, if you harm, you know, people in your life less, then you're probably going to be safer and you're going to be more successful and you're probably going to have less, you know, war and violence and harm in your life. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm on board with that. Obviously, like, I live my life that way too. I try and live as NAP compliant as I can. For a lot of the same reasons that you're talking about. But full stop, that isn't a universal, you know, non-man-made, natural morality woven into the fabric of reality. Like, that doesn't rise to that level. You can't derive that from first principles. It's just a good way to live, which is fine. So I guess that's what I think about when I hear you say that life just lines up with it. Yeah. If we hurt people, if we hurt people less and we're more principled in our interactions with the people around us, then we're probably going to lead a more prosperous, safer life. and that's a great practical reason to follow these principles. It doesn't rise to the level that of a law, of a science of morality, though. Do you have any thoughts on that? And then the next thing I want to get to is back to the occult stuff. But go ahead, I'll let you if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, like I said, it's just I mean, you're pretty much spot on, Patrick, but like I said, like I said, I've had just too many, like I said, personal experiences, and like you said, that's in your opinion. Well, I mean, based on reason and all that stuff, it cannot be called like just some sort of natural, like non-man-made law, But I don't know. It's like, and like I said, I love physics, astrophysics, stuff like that. I love that stuff. And so, and I can see why people would think like this, like the natural law stuff would be some sort of pseudoscience or something. But like I said, for me, like on a personal level. Now, I'm not saying like both of you guys are right almost at the same time. It's like everything just I mean, like your moral principles line up based on how you live your life, which is peaceful, and you try to help people. I try to do the same. So basically the result is the same. It doesn't matter if somebody calls it a natural law or subjective, morality, I mean, for me, it doesn't matter. For me, what matters is like the message. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, but that's the best way I can kind of explain it.
Okay. I'm just trying to I'm trying to give some backbone to our conversation, right? So it sounds like you don't have any hard disagreements with me. So, I mean, let me hand you the ball and say, what did you want to chat about?
Oh, just, I mean, I just wanted to just reach out to a fellow anarchist that, disagreed and just have a nice little conversation, We have a mutual friend, Austin Thomas Jones.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sure you know him. Yeah, I gave him a haircut before his wedding. And, yeah, man, like I said, he's like, oh, yeah, Patrick is awesome. He's a good guy. And so I always wanted to reach out and have a conversation with you. Because like I said, we've been interacting online for, few years now. So.
Do you live near Austin now?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Oklahoma City. His dad's from Norman. So he used to come in my dad's barbershop all the time. And, but yeah, I think Austin, I believe he is back in Oklahoma. He might still be in Texas though. But yeah, we see each other whenever he comes into town.
Well, we'll have to hang out sometime and I'll have to get a haircut from you. How about that?
I would love that, Patrick. I would absolutely awesome. Love it.
Cool.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Okay, but, so yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and then okay. I just wanted to reach out, and I mean, I know you've been on trying to figure out the natural law stuff. I mean, not trying to figure it out, but like trying to get to the root, of why this is what he considers a science, And like I said, I don't really have any major disagreements with you either. I mean, because everything lines up to me, I mean, I can get it from the subjective, like you're like, no, morality is subjective. I can get that point of view too. I mean, but what you're saying is like, prove it. And, the only proof I can give is like all the information that I've gathered over the years, like with the occult stuff. So.
Yeah, it's like any other kind of advice that's just generally good life advice. Like, guys, don't get married before you're 25 and have known the woman for several years. Like, that's just generally good advice. Is that an objective natural law? No, I couldn't prove it to that level. I mean, I could show you data about outcomes being better for people on average when they wait to get married later after knowing them longer, things like that. But it's just a standard of evidence that he's summoning into existence that it just, I mean, at least I haven't seen evidence that he's meeting yet. But I do want to pick your brain more about this dark occult stuff that apparently solves for at least part of the equation for you. Can you give me like any examples of how this occulted knowledge, like specific examples of like what piece of occulted knowledge allows them to control people? And can you give me an example of them having controlled people with that occulted knowledge? Like, can you give me like a full example?
Oh, you mean like how are these occult people controlling the world?
Sure.
Was that your question?
Yeah, I'm just asking for like examples. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. I mean, they control the world by through finance. It's like it's a network of people like throughout the world. You know, I mean, I'm sure you know about the central banking families, like the Warburgs, all these folks. Well, these people, at least half of them, are in the same like religious cult, and I can say that with 100% certainty from like I said, all the research I've done. So, anyways, basically, they control the entire world through the modern day money supply and our view of money, and they do this through the central banking systems. So they can determine who lives on $1 a day, who doesn't. But like I said, these people that know this knowledge, like I said, half of them are into this, like I said, religious cult, and they know all this knowledge, and that's how they can, control it, because they've already taken, like I said, they've already taken over. Like it's what it is.
I mean, I think it is plainly obvious to most people that there is certainly a group of people that are, forming some kind of unofficial, probably cartel where they have, inside information and control over everything financial in the world, which gives them great power and leverage to manipulate events to their preference. So I see that as a valid example. I don't understand what is occult about that, because that word, I mean, I realize that I think you guys are using the word occult to just mean hidden knowledge. And if that's really all you mean, because the word occult, summons specters of, pentagrams and satanic rituals and stuff like that. But if all you're talking about is just like secret knowledge, well, can't we just say secrets? Like, yeah, these financial guys, they know some secrets about how to manipulate the world on a financial level. Like that says the same thing, but without all the weird spookiness, the spooky vibe.
Oh, yeah, we can call it, whatever you like, whatever your preference is. But yeah, it's the same. I mean, like the mafia exists, La Cosa Nostra. That was hidden for years and years. That's a culted organization. That's what we mean. I mean, that's what I mean, when I say occulted.
Sure. Well, I guess the only reason I asked to clarify that is just because I see language. Well, I mean, and he would argue this too, right? Language can be used for good or evil, and it could be used to manipulate people. And I see using a word like occult in place of just simply saying, secret knowledge. I see that as a method of manipulation, a method of marketing. Like he's trying to like make it seem more special, and like it's just okay. There's some really smart guys that know a lot about finance, and they're friends with each other, so they're able to use that and leverage those relationships to, have greater power in the world than the rest of us. Like the second thing is very practical and realistic, and the first one just comes with, it's like a marketing slogan for the same thing. It's like, why talk about occult stuff when you can just describe what it actually is? But I guess that's a minor point. I mean, you're welcome to respond if you have any thoughts on it. But
these are ancient teachings. But they use.
You're breaking up a little bit. You went a little fuzzy. Is your mic covered up or something? It sounds like your microphone is a little weird.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's good now. It's better now.
Okay. I don't know what happened. But yeah, like these central banking families, they've been loaning money to governments and kings for 500 years. You know.
Somebody in the comments says your mic is occulted.
Oh, is the mic bad? Maybe it's the earbuds, man.
It's better now. Okay, well, let's press on and hopefully it improves. Okay, so we have a group of people that have knowledge and connections that manipulate the world. How does that evidence proof of natural law? What's the connection from that to objective morality and reality?
Oh, I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, so, like, what these folks are doing, they know this knowledge that we both know, just simple stuff. And they say, no, I'm not going to live my life. Instead, I'm going to hurt others via the financial system to impose my will and dominion on the rest of the world. And,
Yeah, the audio is totally shot now. Can you maybe try reconnecting, see if that improves things?
yeah, hold on one second.
It improves immediately when you take your earbuds out.
How about now?
Hey, that's good. Let's go with that.
Is it good? All right, cool.
It's better, yeah.
Sorry, man.
Oh, you're good.
But anyways, no, it doesn't say, well, no, a bunch of central bankers, you know, that doesn't prove natural law, you know, it just proves that there are people that see wrong or see right and for what it is and know that what they're doing is wrong and they still do it anyways.
Okay.
You know, because it benefits them on a financial level as well as a power level.
Well, I mean, the reason I asked is because, like, you know, I think you were one of the people that said that if I understood the occult, I would understand natural law better, and so that's why I was asking about the occult. But one of the first things you said just now in that last response was that there isn't a direct connection between like these people. Okay, you cannot chew everything. Okay, just chill. I'm sorry. You said no, there isn't a connection. So I guess I'm just confused why the occult is involved with this natural law discussion then.
Oh, okay, yeah. So these, like I said, these folks that are running stuff right now, they know about natural law. Okay, like because that derives from all these ancient teachings is natural law. So when you know what it is, okay, you can use, like I said, natural law as far as and not just not hurting other sentient beings and stuff. Well, you've seen the seminar, you know. I mean, you've seen the whole video. But did you watch Demystifying the Occult that he has, Mark Passio?
Yes.
All three of them?
No. Definitely not all three of them. Maybe one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on part two, it goes deep, deep into it. And basically how these secret, or like I said, these occulted, the secret societies, basically no natural law is real. And so instead of, like I said, following that, they use different occulted knowledge that they have. And when I mean occulted knowledge, when I mean occulted knowledge, like I said, it's just these hidden teachings, Patrick. Like I said, the Masons at high levels know this stuff. Manly P. Hall, I'm not sure if you've ever listened to him. He has a lot of work on this. But it like I said, everything that I've learned over the past 7-8 years of studying this, it lines up basically with all that stuff. Now, like I said, the financial guys, like I said, they do. Like I said, they use this hidden knowledge to their benefit. But they know it's wrong. That's what I'm saying, Patrick. They know natural law is right, and like science, basically, like from their perspective, and they go against it anyways.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, and correct me if I have it wrong, is that they're aware that hurting people is bad, and that knowledge somehow gives them extra leverage or power to control people? Like, that doesn't make sense. How does knowing that hurting people is bad give them additional power? Like, most people know that hurting people is bad, so I don't understand, like, what's even occulted about that? Like, if you know the thesis... Okay, you need to chill out. You need to chill out. The thesis, the summary that I gave of Passio's work earlier, that's that tautology, that hurting people results in a more harmful society. Like, how does knowing that allow them to control people? I don't see the connection. What am I missing?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, they hurt. So, I mean, when you look at it on a massive scale, okay, like, hurting people definitely gives them an advantage. If you're holding all the cards, I mean, like I said, if you know this knowledge, and like I said, and not just, and it's just not like you shouldn't hurt people or you shouldn't hurt people. Okay, like I said, to me it goes beyond that. It goes to these folks are literally. How do you say? I'm trying to kind of put it in the best way I can. So sorry, I'm just trying to grasp it. But
no, you're good.
This,
you're good. Don't apologize. I'm probably asking questions that haven't been asked before about this conception of natural law. So, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, they know all this stuff. They own all the central banks throughout the world. And they can say, okay, now we're going to hurt these folks. And basically, like, these people are like making hell on earth. So, I mean, and not literally. I mean, like, and if they keep us fighting amongst ourselves, okay, and in their mindset, we fight amongst ourselves, and then they still maintain the power of what they have. You know, I mean, that's what I'm trying to. I mean, like I said, that's kind of the best way I could, break that down.
Okay. Well, I have to admit that I still don't understand the connection.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said, and I'm sorry I can't like explain more. I'll have to send you a bunch of paperwork later, but I just don't have it right in front of me. I think my wife, I think I had to put it up in the attic or something here, but I'll bring it back down for you. And plus, it's been a long day, man. So I've been sorry my responses aren't a little bit better.
Oh, it's all good. I appreciate the conversation. So I guess I'll hand it back to you. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? It's your show, man.
I mean, I just, like I said, I just wanted to reach out to you, and like I said, we had a small disagreement on that, but I can see where both of you guys are coming from. But like I said, I just really wish, I really wish he would reach out to you, because he could, like I said, just to have the conversation with you, you know.
He doesn't want
to right now, man. I know. But yeah, but I mean, like, as far as natural law goes, I mean, it's just, like I said, for me, it lines up. I've had different, like I said, experiences in my life, but that doesn't mean, like I said, that, I mean, reality is, what you're perceiving, around you. And it just lines up with my moral principles, that's why I'm an agorist. I grow my own food. I try not to use banks. I try to live my life like that. Because I don't want to participate in the system. you know. But natural law is just part of, like I said, what I, you know, how I live my life. Now, as far as like the subjective part, Patrick, I mean, what would you say is like your morality? What do you base it on? Is it just like how you feel, or I mean, like I mean, I know you've explained this before, but like for me, like I need to, you know, I want you to clarify a little bit. I mean, if you could.
So have you listened to the Anti-Subjectivist Manifesto? I did a video reading that a while back.
With you and Christian.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the best conception of objective morality that I've heard of to date. I apologize. 1 second, please.
No.
Say goodbye, everybody. Oh man, dog just got like full on an energy burst, just started running laps around the room, knocking stuff over. That's not gonna work. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so that would be my oh, I can't hear you. Say it again.
Oh, how's the doggy?
Good. She's just being a puppy. She just got a case of the puppy zoomies, I think they call it, where they just want to run in circles, and that's not good in the office. She had to go.
So what do you got going on? Or like as far as the Subjective Manifesto, do you have any other work going on, Patrick?
Well,
as far as writing?
Say again. Sorry.
As far as writing.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the next step is probably going to be to do some connecting tissue work, and I think Christian's in the chat. Actually, he's my co-author on this stuff. But the next step is probably to get into more of the applied philosophy, and start going from the raw equation to how it actually functions in reality. And most of it's going to be all the same stuff that we've heard people talk about in libertarian circles for a long time. The conclusions are mostly exactly the same. Like you could read Walter Block's work and it would mostly give you the exact same set of answers, probably, that that anti-subjectivism will. Yeah, I mean, I guess, did you have any questions about that? I'm happy to talk about it.
Oh, like I said, I just enjoy watching your work, Patrick. I mean, like you and Christian and Shepard, like I said, you guys are doing great things. And but as far as like, I just wanted to, like I said, reach out to you, maybe just talk about this a little bit. I knew you had a little bit of time today. I really appreciate you having me on your show, taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Sure, man. Yeah. So
as far as the subjective stuff, like, I mean, my question is, I mean, like directly, like, so you're like the morality that you have, like as far as in that manifesto that was read by you and Christian, like, I mean, like it pretty much lines up with what Passio, like his natural law. Don't do bad stuff to people. Don't do good stuff to people. And what, like, here's an example. So in like Afghanistan, there is what they call like bocce boys, you know. Now, to the United States government, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what those are, but basically it was like underage, you know, sex slaves for the Afghani guys there. And when I mean the Afghani guys, I mean like the little cult or whatever that they were in. So, like, our United States soldiers were told to ignore, and when I mean our United States soldiers, the United States soldiers were told to ignore that. Well, everybody knows that that's wrong, you know. I don't think that's subjective. Like, just because it was in their culture, I don't. Like I said, there's no way that anybody would think that that was right.
I mean, what was right? I missed. What was the interaction you're talking about? I missed it.
Oh, yeah. So, like I said, in Afghanistan, there's called the Bachi boys. They're basically underage sex slaves to these, like, Taliban guys.
Okay.
They did a whole special on it, yeah. So, but everybody knows that that's wrong. I mean, like, and I think that comes from a, you know, just a natural, when you view stuff like that, you're like, no, that's wrong. You know, that can't be a cultural norm, you know. I mean, so that's my question to you, like, that's obviously wrong no matter where it's at in the world, right?
Yes, but you have to say wrong according to what? Because, again, we don't have an objective measuring stick that applies that moral judgment to any act.
Right, but I mean, like, but you, like, when I mean feel it, I mean, like, you can be like, no, that's wrong, you know? I mean, like, immediately it just comes to you.
Well, you and I can, but they certainly don't.
So you think that they think that that's okay to do that?
Well, at least to some degree, because they do it. Now, I'm not saying that I think they're right in thinking that, but that's based on my moral judgments according to my moral framework. But according to their moral framework and their judgments, at least it's not as wrong as we think it's wrong. Now I'm not espousing relativism. I'm not saying that their opinions are just as valid as my opinions. I'm just saying that there are definitely some people. What I'm saying is that feeling, that internal feeling that underage child sex slavery is terrible, is not universal. Clearly not, because some people engage in it.
Yeah, and my argument is, I think they know it's wrong, but they do it anyways, you know? And like I said, and that's what that's me, you know? I mean, I always just assumed that people knew that stuff was wrong, you know, but they did it. I never thought that they think that that's okay to do, you know? And I know that's an extreme example I just gave, Patrick. But I mean, that's why I feel my moral compass is like it's objective, you know, not subjective, because I just assume that immediately, you know, people would think that was wrong, you know.
So if everybody felt that it was okay to do that, would that be the objective moral natural law, or is there something outside of people's feelings that determine the rightness or wrongness of the act? Is it just how everybody feels? Is it just how the majority feels? Like, what does it take to make it objective morality, I guess, is a question.
Well, if we had a world that everybody thought that was okay, I wouldn't want to be here anymore, you know? But yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, like, I mean, I just always assumed, like I said, and I'm being genuine here. Like, I thought that these people, you know, not just them, like, I mean, people throughout the world do this. But I mean, I just assume that, yeah, they are, you know, they know it's wrong and they do it anyways.
You know what Larkin told me a long time ago, and it was really profound, and it's really stuck with me. He says, Patrick, you have a tendency to project your goodness onto other people. And it doesn't always exist. There are just people out there that have different ideas of right and wrong and what's okay to do and what's not. And it's easy for us good people to project that goodness on others and be like, well, they know that's wrong. We don't know that they know that's wrong. We're not in their head. I mean, even if we ask them, they might lie to us. So that's like an epistemological unknowable. And, you know, it reminds me of the argument I get when I'm talking to religious people when they say, oh, well, you know, God exists. You just, you know, you're, I don't know, deluding yourself, or you don't want to admit it or something. It's like, what are you talking about? You're like, you have no conception of what I know or don't know or feel or don't feel. So I'm careful with those kind of assumptions about other people. Like, oh, they know, they just choose to do it. You know, they know it's bad, but they do it anyway. Well, maybe they don't know it's bad. Maybe they were raised to think it was acceptable. It was tradition or culture or some other stupid excuse. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, like I said, I never looked at it like that, Patrick. I really haven't. I mean, like I was like, wow, you know, I just assumed everybody knew that sort of behavior is wrong because it causes harm to other people, right? So you shouldn't do it, you know. I mean, but for me, I think for me, it's just a natural reaction, you know. Like I said, I just assumed that these bad people knew that they were doing bad and they did it anyways, like these people at the top.
Yeah,
you know?
there's a book called The Origins of War and Child Abuse. Have you read that?
I have not.
I would suggest everybody reads it. Whether or not you have kids, it doesn't matter. It really teaches an important lesson about the human species. There is a very strong correlation between how children are treated and how violent the culture is, the world is in general. And it correlates, and it tells the story of history about how kids used to be treated 2,000 years ago, which was just mind-blowingly disgusting. Like, people would just eat their kids if they were starving. Like, it was just terrible. Like, the worst possible situation you could imagine for children. That's how it used to be. And society was also terribly violent and didn't care about, you know, life in general or peace or kindness or happy. Like, most of that stuff was not a priority. And then over time, as people learned to treat their children better and damaged their children less, then society in general at large got more peaceful and more caring and more empathetic. And that speaks to me a very strong message of if morality was like innate and objective, then it wouldn't have functioned like that. Because even then, the damaged children that grew up and became adults, they would still have that objective sense of morality and know what was right and wrong. But that's not how it worked. Like, if they were raised terribly, abused terribly, then they would grow up to abuse people because that's what they were taught. It's like we accept the reality with which we're presented when we enter the world as children. And it's why I say that parenting is such a powerful form of activism, because the way you raise your children is the world that you create, you know, 18 years later when they become adults and they start affecting the world with the way that they were raised. So I think that's powerful evidence against some kind of innate moral understanding. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I just always assume, Patrick, and I don't mean that. Like I said, I truly do. I just assume that everybody, and when I mean, like, there is psychopaths, you know, that just have no moral compass. And when I mean moral compass, I mean, like, they don't care who they hurt as long as they get on top, you know. That's about 1% of the population. I mean, I knew those folks existed, you know, and then sociopaths and stuff. But I mean, the majority of the world, I would just not believe humanity was just, you know, I mean, even a couple thousand years ago, I mean, I could assume it was bad, but I don't know. I just assumed that there would be more love and, you know, in the world. I don't know.
Well, I think back to like the times of slavery as well. So like, I think about like, okay, if I were a child 300-400 years ago, whatever, and I was born into a family, and let's say that my family was a slave owning family and we had a plantation or whatever. And from the time I entered the world, as I grew up, I just saw slavery as a thing that existed and happened and was normal. And yeah, there's some people that are slaves, they're property, we own them, they do things for us because they have to, because we told them to, because we own them. And that's just a fact of reality. Now, certainly over time that was able to change, but also certainly for hundreds of years, if not thousands, well, certainly for thousands of years, that was just such a normal part of life that I bet no one questioned it. I bet most people didn't question it. There was no internal moral voice saying, hey, this is wrong. They just accepted normal reality for what it is. And we see that around us every day. Most people just accept the normal moral state of the government existing and rightfully controlling everyone. That's just normal. There's not really an inner voice whispering in their ear that it's wrong when they go vote at the voting booth. They think they're doing their patriotic, rightful, righteous duty. You know, it's only, yeah. Anyway, I think I've made my case.
I guess I've just always been a libertarian, or like more of a libertarian anarchist, because I always knew that the government was wrong and bad, you know? I mean, like, from even my childhood, like, just growing up, watching, like, Waco on TV, like, I mean, stuff like that, you know? I mean, I had a pretty rough upbringing, Patrick, so, I mean, I've seen some pretty terrible things. And so, I mean, I've seen it around me, but even the people that were doing it around me, they knew it was wrong and they were doing it anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's because I've lived in my reality. Like, I mean, I've just never met any true blue psychopaths, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you had a rough upbringing. That's
Oh no, man. No. It's like I said, it's just what it is. I mean, like I it's just, you know, but yeah. So like I said, I just always assume. I mean, I totally get your point, you know, on your perspective of, you know, the slavery stuff. But I just always assumed that people, like I said, even back then, I mean, like, yeah, that's hurting another human being. You shouldn't do that, you know? I mean, like, it's just, for me, like I said, it's never occurred. I always just assumed, like, wow, these people were just psychopaths that kept slaves, you know, like, because it benefited them and hurt others, you know, so.
I guess to go back to answer your other question. So, anti-subjectivism didn't begin as me attempting to like craft a moral philosophy. It began as me trying to research. Well, again, you know my whole journey, right? Like I started as a Republican and went looking for the just authority of the government and found it wasn't there. And long story short, like it's been this one path that I've been following. And so after I realized that this just authority of the government was not a thing, then I go looking for other things. Like people are always talking about rights, and you have rights and your rights should be protected. And, you know, you have a right to not be stolen from, and you have a right to protect your rights and to protect yourself and your property. And so I started looking into like, what are rights? As just a question, what are rights? And that's where this whole thing really began. And I ended up writing an article called "What Are Rights and Who Gets Them?" And I tried to back away from all of the preconceived notions of what these things called rights are that people have been talking about for thousands of years, because they've always talked about rights as these things that exist that can be stolen and broken and violated and need to be protected. And they reify these things that don't exist into things that exist, which makes you think about and act in the world differently. And so all I tried to do was back up from an engineering mind, because that's what I have. And I wanted to describe what they actually are and how they actually function in the world. And so that's how I got what are rights and who gets them. And I had this definition: rights are mutual reciprocal understandings between people capable of conceptualizing them. It's like a short version of it, right? There's a long, philosophically wordy version of it on the website, disenthrall.me/rights. But so it was just me trying to define what rights are. Rights are mutual reciprocal agreements between people. They're agreements, nothing more. And from that simple realization and understanding, it invalidates a lot of moral philosophies that have existed for hundreds and thousands of years. And it gave me a perspective on moral philosophy that was grounded in something very low level, very baseline. And it's like, okay, well, there's people that don't reciprocate rights. What are those people like? Well, those people are just like animals. Animals can't conceive of rights. They can't reciprocate rights. Even if they could understand it, they don't. So that's the state of nature. That's just how reality is. You know, the example I always give is if I put a nut out on my back patio, a squirrel's going to come and steal that nut. He's not going to think, oh, that's his property, I should ask permission before comes on my property and takes my nut. No, he doesn't have any conception of that stuff. He certainly doesn't reciprocate rights with me. He'll just come and take the nut because he's hungry, or that's what he's programmed to do genetically as an animal. And so that's the dichotomy. That is the lowest level difference between what is amorality, right or wrong, and what is amoral, meaning the absence of moral concepts, which is the state of nature. The state of nature is just creatures interacting as they were programmed to interact. If they're strong enough to get away with something, they will. If they're not strong enough, then they'll probably get eaten. Like, that's just the state of nature. And so a certain subset of things that exist, this is a summary, I know you probably know this, but for everybody watching that hasn't read Anti-Subjectivism, the other type of creature that exists is able to understand what a right is and what property is. They're able to hold concepts in their head, understand them, and then make decisions and direct their behavior based on these concepts that only really exist between their two ears. And so, for example, property rights. Like, I understand what property is. I understand and choose to agree that you get to own property, and anything that is your rightful property, I will never attack, steal, break, destroy, whatever. And if I do, I'll provide you restitution. And I demand that you return that respect to me. So that means that you need to also be able to comprehend concepts and understand what a property is and understand a rubric of rules around property and what that is, and then afford me that respect. And so when we talk about, I'll shut up here in a second, but that is the reciprocity that creates rights. Rights only exist insofar as the two people are able to understand and reciprocate that mutual respect and understanding. And that's what sets us apart from the state of nature, is we have the capacity to do that. We have the capacity to understand things like rights and then reciprocate and control our behavior based on those understandings. And so when somebody chooses not to, all they're doing is reducing the relationship between us back down to that state of nature. Like, they're just dragging us back down where the animals are, where we have to use tooth and fang to protect or to make things how we want it to be. So that's kind of the fundamental of anti-subjectivism. That is a non-subjective way of defining a moral equation about what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil. And I say non-subjective, not objective, because it's a way of defining it that doesn't include anything subjective. So it's absent subjectivity. It's not based on feeling, emotion. It's not only active at certain times of day or certain places on the planet. Anyway, I would suggest people check it out. You can read it at antisubjectivism.com. The manifesto is there. Okay, I'll shut up now if you had any thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I would say 300 years ago, we probably, as humans, still had, ways to comprehend things, I mean, they were able to, write some things down on a piece of paper in 1776 and magically become so, I mean, so they knew back then there was people that were for slavery, people that were against slavery, But I just always, like I said, I mean, I don't think for me, it's not like an animalistic instinct or like you're reverting back to nature. I think humans have always been able to comprehend and reciprocate rights through, like you said, through that feeling, I mean, of, hey, like I said, 200 years ago or 300 years ago, they still held slaves. And I still think that human beings were capable of critical thinking then. So, but they still did it anyways. You know what I mean? I don't know. I could never see that as a cultural norm, I mean, from earlier. I mean, like I said, I just always assumed, even back then, I mean, then people would know, but I totally get that. It's a completely, like I said, you're basing it on reciprocation of rights, which is basically what happens anyways in my day-to-day life, I give somebody a haircut, they sat down, we interact, they give me money, I make them look good, and until next time, and then they go away, And I love my customers, man. I love interacting with people. I have created more anarchists from that barber chair than, and that's my activism, man, is just talking with other people. And basically breaking down, like the state from the top, and then you know how the what transpires, Patrick. You can only once you start obtaining that knowledge that government is wrong and always has been. And then you just go from there. And I always recommend The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose, but with you reading the audio, with you doing the audio.
Yeah, I mean,
always recommend that to my customers, man. All of them.
Well, thank you. I was honored to be able to do the official version of that book for Audible. So if anybody wants to read that book, Most Dangerous Superstition, it is on Audible. It is an excellent book that I agree. I would recommend to everybody.
But okay. I mean, as far as, I think we're, pretty much on, like I said, the same page, Patrick. We have some disagreements here and there. And like I said, I'm sorry I couldn't answer the questions a lot more better, man. But it's been just, like I said, a little bit of a longer day. And but I just wanted to reach out to you. And I said, I'm sorry I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. I should have brought down all my notes.
No, dude, no. Respect for showing up for your ideas. Yeah, that's cool. So, I love good discussions. So thanks for having one with me. I appreciate it. And everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out and watching. I don't know. See, I'm torn. I'm thinking about doing a live stream where I read and critique Rothbard's Natural Law, because some people have asked me to do that. Following my critique of Passio's work, people have asked me, okay, now do Rothbard's. It's like, okay, here we go again. I'm going to piss off a whole new subsection of libertarians.
I will love it, and I will defend you to the end. I'm like, no, Patrick's a good guy. He's doing what's right. He's critiquing people's work, and that's what you should do. When somebody puts their stuff out there that is like, no, this is how it is, it's always good for somebody to challenge that in a positive manner like you do. So
I'm trying to learn. The motto that I stole from somebody else is I want to believe as many true things as possible and as few false things as possible. And I think that's an excellent motto that I try and stick to. And the only people I really don't give conversations to are just the dicks. Like there's some, like they lead with just super toxic nonsense instead of arguments. But anyway, yeah. Let's see. Let me read chat a little bit. I'm behind on chat. If that's cool. If you need to go, you're welcome to go. I can hang out with people.
No, man.
You're welcome to hang out too. It's up to you. All right, I'm behind on chat here. Let's see. We've got a guy named Lobata that has just been ranting. I don't even know what about. You're thinking lesser of other species, which is 100% false. Oh yeah, I don't. I mean, it is a factual statement to say that most species can't conceptualize and can't reciprocate these concepts called rights. That's not thinking lesser of them. That's just stating a fact. Julian wants to trigger me into a show invite with trash talk and shit posting. That's not how you do it, man. Yeah, if you have a disagreement with me, you tell me what the disagreement is and give me an argument. Yeah, okay. That was a weird chat. Good to see you, ANCAP. How are you? Good to see you, Bob. All right. Well,
no questions.
Why don't we do that? Call for questions. If you have any questions for either of us, we'll hang out for a few minutes here and give you time to get your questions in. And yeah, I mean, I should do. The advantage of the stream. What is it? What was the thing you asked me about? If I used.
Oh yeah, StreamYard.
StreamYard. The advantage of StreamYard is you can just kind of give that link to somebody, and you're not like compromising privacy. Like the link I gave you to connect to my server here is like, I cannot give that out because then anybody could just connect anytime. But if I use the StreamYard thing, then we could more easily do call-in shows, which would be useful. Lobata says, I'm sorry, but most of the things you said are false. I mean, you gotta give me an argument. You can't just say I'm wrong. Because then I could just respond by saying, yeah, it's like, okay, Lobata, you're wrong. Checkmate. Next.
Boom.
Smackdown. All right. No, I guess we're not. Well, we should give it a little bit longer. There's a lag on the chat. Well, dude, I need to get up to Oklahoma sometime and get a haircut. That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Oklahoma
man,
City.
If you're ever in Oklahoma City, definitely come in and and then you can see how I do my activism. You know,
It sounds like a fantastic activism.
Conservative Trumpsters to anarchists, man. I'm building a network here.
Really?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
I'm gonna start like a little. I'm gonna start a little barber club here soon. I haven't told anybody that, but it's gonna be like a private club, and man, it's just gonna be a bunch of anarchists and libertarians, and more of the anarchist persuasion. And man, we're gonna have some fun, do some training, stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I love it, man. So like even a cop, like I had a cop that came in, and I'm always kind no matter what, you know, and because this guy had been coming in my mom's shop. So after about 10 months, man, of me talking to him, he quit the Oklahoma City Police Department and he became he's still like a cop, but it's like at a school in like BFE, Oklahoma, you know? So instead of like arresting people for drugs and stuff, now he's just hanging out with kids and making sure that, you know, they're safe.
Yeah.
So, you know, in my opinion, that's at least a step in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
it sounds like
if I can do that little by little, man, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to start building, like I said, I'm going to start building this up, man.
That's all. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity to talk to people. Like the only other thing I can think that's comparable would be like an Uber driver. You have like a captive audience that just, you know, is bored and wants to talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's like you have kind of the same vibe.
I do Lyft too in my spare time, so I can get these ideas out there.
Hey, that works. That works. All right, Labata, you have strong disagreements with me. Join the Discord server right now. I'll bring you on voice and we'll talk about it. Show up, man. Come on.
Come on, Labata.
Yeah.
I showed up unprepared.
Yep. There's a join link on disenthrall.me/Discord. We'll pull you in the voice chat and you can let me know where I'm wrong. I'm always happy to learn if I'm wrong. I like being wrong. It's one of my favorite things. Let me just get set up here. Fallstar, he's my producer. Please join live streaming and help me moderate and mute and unmute people. I'd appreciate it.
Oh, is he coming on?
I don't know. We'll see. If there's other people that have disagreements, let's just make it a call-in. I'll spend some time. We'll just open it up on Discord. Join our Discord server. Hop in voice. Tell Fallstar, my producer, that you want to come on the show, and he'll bring you over in the voice channel. We'll get it done.
How's Shepard doing, Patrick?
Shepard? He's I don't know where he is right now. Actually, I haven't talked to him much about how he's doing recently. He's a busy guy like me, man. We're we're just going like full tilt 24/7 lately. Float is a complicated endeavor, so entrepreneur. Anytime you're running a company, it takes all of your attention.
You're rocking it, Patrick. Float's awesome.
It's getting there. It's not. I wouldn't say it's awesome yet, but we. This is more inside info. I haven't been authorized to share, but I'm going to. We did a design meeting on the groups functionality today, and I'm so excited about getting our groups out there because I think that's what's really holding a lot of like Facebook users back. Is like they can't come to Float and have their meme groups and stuff like that. So as soon as we get meme groups, as soon as we get groups and people realize that they aren't going to get their Facebook accounts deleted if they come to Float and have their groups, I think it's going to be a big deal. I'm excited about it. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, mic check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. There we go. All right. So Discord should be able to hear us now, and we should be able to hear Discord. Well, hopefully it works. Let me test it. What's up, Fallstar? Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, can.
All right, awesome. Just wanted to make sure. I invited people to join Discord and come on the show if they had disagreements. So I'd appreciate it if you would help me mod.
Yeah, sure. What do you need me to do?
Well, if people join and they want to talk, just send them over here to the channel and unmute them one at a time. Sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks, sir. That's Andrew. He's awesome. Claps in chat for Andrew. Well, come on, guys. Where are you?
Oh, no takers?
Looks like Labata's backing
Yes.
out. Man, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. You have 30 minutes to shit talk in the comments, but now you won't come on out. Let's go, man. Let's go.
I always say, whatever you say on the internet, you should say to somebody's face. I mean, I've always, like I said, if I have a disagreement with somebody, I'm gonna say it to their face if I said it in a video of mine or anything. Yeah. I mean, not that I'm doing that, a lot.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll give it another couple minutes. Anybody else? You're welcome. I'll just hang out for a bit. It's either that or I go read Rothbard. So either way, it's good. Liberty After Dark says PP small. Yep, shots fired. You think you're in the wrong Discord. There's a join link, disenthrall.me/Discord. Should get you in here. Link in the description, I believe, to go to our website where it's disenthrall.me/platforms. You can find a Discord link on there to join as well. Disenthrall.me/Discord. Come on, guys. Bring it on. I like disagreements. This is what I live for.
So, Patrick, what did you think of the Libertarian Convention? Tell us what you really think, man.
Oh, man.
Let's spice this up a little bit.
I mean, it was a massive, massive waste of everyone's time. But at the end of the day...
Oh, yeah.
I guess the Mises Caucus took over. And if anybody is going to be at the helm of that dumpster fire, I would prefer it to be Mises. So good for them. Congratulations to those candidates that took control of the LP. That's good. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I do not intend to stop calling it out for the waste of time honeypot dumpster fire that it is. But yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I feel the same. I had a few friends that went from Oklahoma. They're libertarians, you know, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I mean, a couple, you know, you should go to Reno, man." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't participate, but thank you," you know. But it's cool because, you know, we're all in the same circle. Eventually, they'll get there, Patrick. Like I said. If you do activism, like I said, even little stuff like what I'm doing, you can change people's minds. I mean, like I said, I had a direct impact. One officer off the street in Oklahoma City, you know, not arresting people for drugs. I mean, it's those little things, you know, that matter. But no,
your method of activism is more useful on balance than the entirety of the Libertarian Party. Like, I feel pretty comfortable in making that statement. Like, if more people just did what you're doing and just have good one-on-one conversations with people as the opportunity arises, you're going to do way more for the world than voting.
I 100% agree with that.
And running for your local comptroller's office or whatever, you know, little positions that the LP likes to run people in, like.
Hey man, I remember your not governor days, you know, so.
Yeah. I feel like that's why I can talk about it, because I tried it.
I know.
And, you know, I saw it from the inside and would not recommend. Honestly, like I was probably going to try it again with a different, I was trying to start a, here's some more inside baseball. I had intended to start a thing called the Not Army, and I still might. But I wanted to get a bunch. There's something magical that happens at our Feed the Need events that we do every December, where, for those that aren't aware, you should definitely come out. First Saturday in December every year, we break the law here in Texas to feed the homeless, and we do it armed so that the cops leave us alone and nobody gets in trouble. Unlike the other people, like the church groups that in Texas have gotten arrested and charged for feeding the homeless without a license. And what ended up being just so magical about the event is that it brings together all different types of people, all different types of activists. You have people that just want to do a little charity. And you have people that just that enjoy like donating things, and they don't even attend. They just donate, or they help us get donations. You have people that really are into like security and, you know, guns. And so they show up and help run security and help make sure everybody's safe. And then you have people that are into media and they want to show up and make videos about what we're doing and live stream and share what we're doing with the world. And you even have like people in the Libertarian Party show up and they try and, you know, leverage the event for their campaigns, which is kind of disgusting, but let's move on. So the point is that there's this one moment in time every year where all these different types of activists come together to do some good in the world. And it's magical because these people don't normally associate. They don't really talk to each other. They don't even like each other. Like the people that are into charity aren't really necessarily into the guns. And the people that are in the guns are not necessarily into, you know, going out and spamming a bunch of sporting goods stores trying to get donations of extra sleeping bags. Like there's just different kinds of people. Like that's what freedom is. You have a bunch of different people that are interested in a bunch of different things. They all want to help people and do good in the world and make the world a better place, but they all usually just stay in their own little silos. But the magic of when you get these people to come together and work together around a central goal, it's just way more than the sum of its parts. I keep saying magical. It is. And so the idea for the Nut Army was to be that backbone, that communication platform that brings all the different types of activists together when things need to happen. So like if there's an emergency, it would be kind of a communication platform that would bring the charity workers together with the security workers that could, you know, all this, and the YouTubers that want to stream about things that are going on and to, you know, amplify messages and things like that. So I still might do that.
Yeah, I'll have to come down. Like I said, Dallas isn't far from me, so I need to come down and help you guys out with that. I like doing stuff like that, man. It like impacts your community directly. And if it was up to government, like I said, they don't want you doing it, and it's sad. Who cares what the government thinks? I I don't pay taxes, and I don't really care what they think about it. Like I have a garden. Like I don't ask permission for something that's just naturally should be your right anyways. So.
Yep. Let's see. Labata's decided to now go make his own video instead of just showing up. So, okay, goodbye, man. That sucks. I have a link to your ANCAP Gamer mentions voluntary virtue. Yes, Christian is the CEO. He's in chat of Voluntary Virtue, which is a voluntarist, principled 501c3 charity corporation. So if you want to make tax exempt donations. I think we actually just got approved for our 501c3 status, so we can finally, full on, we're official. We can take money and you can deduct it on your tax return to get stolen from less if you want to do good work with your money. So that's voluntaryvirtue.org. Thanks for reminding me to shout that out, ANCAP. You can contribute small amounts monthly. You can do one-time donations, or you can join the street team. That kind of shows up and helps with charity on location. I think there's a Facebook group for that, so you guys can get more information on voluntaryvirtue.org for that. All right. Liberty After Dark. Gamers. All right, Fallstar, send somebody over if there is somebody. If not, then I'm going to shut this thing down.
Well, looks like you're going to have to be reading that Rothbard.
Well, there's like a 30-40 second delay between when we say stuff and when other people hear it. So.
Oh, okay.
Tactical Charity Society, thank you. That's the street team for Voluntary Virtue. They're the people that get boots on the ground when we want to go help people. That is called the Tactical Charity Society. There's a Facebook group for it. We don't want to be just like a corporation that airdrops in a bunch of money to fix problems. We want to also have people that actually show up and try and do good work in person. I think that's important.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, one second. All right, Fallstar, do we have anybody?
Oh, we're just talking to the guy with the fire in chat. He's kind of quit.
Okay, if you have somebody, I'll wait. Otherwise, I'm going to close the show out.
All right, I'm going to ask him, and then I'll send him over if he's keen.
All right, kick ass. Thanks. I'm just yanking him over from the other voice channel. He was probably in the middle of a conversation.
Oh, Patrick, there is a book called The Warburgs by Ron Chernow. If you get a chance to read it, it's about the central banking families, the Warburgs. That's a really good book, and it'll get you into the mind of a central banking, person.
Okay.
It's just straight psychopathy, you'll see. But and it's a mainstream book. I mean, it was like they won a lot of awards and stuff. But it's called The Warburgs. I suggest everybody read that book. From what I was talking about earlier,
Warburgs. Okay, cool.
Yeah, by Ron Chernow. It's really good.
All right, somebody has joined voice. I don't know what your name is. It's weird characters. So, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
Any feedback, or am I good?
Well, I'm going to leave myself unmuted for a second, and you can let me know if you hear yourself when you talk. If not, I'll have to mute.
Okay. No, it sounds pretty good on my end.
Okay, awesome. Well, what would you like to talk about?
I've been following you and Larkin for quite a while. I have some knowledge of how things should work or could work. I guess my big thing is, is there any possible way to get close to any of those plans, in today's day and age.
What do I call you, first of all?
we-
I can't read your name.
Oh, read it upside down and backwards.
Stiggs?
Stig.
Stiggs. All right. What's up, Stiggs? Good to talk to you. So your question is like, how do we get to what? Freedom? Liberty?
Well, every time I talk to friends in chat, I guess the biggest thing that they do is they opt out of everything that they can. So they ignore government. They don't participate, and that's the best they can kind of offer for now. I guess my question is, if we're ever to get to a point where we dismantle government and live for ourselves and for our families, how do we get there?
I think I think the strategy of waiting until we're free to create freedom is a poor one. I like seeing people actually taking action and creating the world that they want to see to the greatest extent that they possibly can now, which is a big reason why Christian and I and Shepard founded Voluntary Virtue, because rather than just complain about how the government handles charity, we're like, hey, let's show the world how voluntarists would do charity. And we're going to do that to the greatest extent we can possibly do it now. We're going to create as much freedom in that regard as we can now. And I think that's a big part of what I want other people to do. I want them to not ask permission all the time. I want them to do as much as they can within whatever risk assessment that they're comfortable with to create what they want to see in the world now, and not try and wait. Also, the most powerful thing that we can do is just have these conversations, talk to people. Like Outlaw Barber here says, he's got a barber shop where he talks to people as he cuts their hair about freedom. Like, that's perfect. That's all we got to do. And then over time, I think we'll multiply and hopefully hit a critical mass point. So that's what I have to say about that. You have any thoughts, Outlaw Barber?
Yeah, I agree, Patrick. If you want freedom, you take it, and that's, nobody's going to give you permission to do it. You just got to go do it. And that's what my life is about, man. I mean, like I said, I grow my own vegetables. I don't use banks. Or try to use them as less as possible. It's just little things like that. I'm starting my little network here soon. It's going to be about 80 guys that are really down for the cause of freedom and liberty. Maybe we'll grow a little bit more, maybe to 160. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna. That's what you got to do, And when the state collapses, you're going to feel a lot better, man. I promise.
Yeah,
because that's when true freedom can be kind of perceived, So
making those connections now is super important. Having a support network, friends that can support each other and help each other in times of need is super important. But yeah, just talking to people. These ideas are so simple. Like, hey, do you want to be left alone? Yeah, of course you do. Hey, I want to be left alone. How about we make a deal? How about we leave each other alone? It's so simple that, like, as long as you can have these conversations with people, you can make progress, and it's just a little bit at a time. And for most people, unless you're convincing them with nonsense or emotional appeals, like, not many people kind of go back the other way. Once they're awake to liberty and these ideas, it's not like, I mean, there are some so-called way station libertarians that claim to be a libertarian for a while and then, I don't know, backslide is probably the wrong word, but yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Stiggs? Are you there? Are you there? Stiggs, are you there? Did we lose you?
Oh no. Stiggs is gone.
Yep, I guess we lost him.
That's a bummer. I was really hoping to hear his response.
Yep, he just oh, he's back.
Oh, cool.
All right, you there?
Hello? I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Did you hear anything that we said?
Yeah, I actually had to click over to the YouTube tab to hear what you guys were saying. I think I dropped out of Discord.
Oh, right on. Okay. Well, what do you think?
I do agree with a lot of that. I do wonder about helping those that are less fortunate. I know that you said, that a lot of people in this movement say that, the ones that can take care of themselves will normally reach down and help others that are not able to help themselves. And I know that's all we can ask for, really. We can't force anyone to help others. One thing, I think conflict resolution is still sketchy in my mind. Not to, like when I have talks like this with one guy in particular, he's pretty good at saying, okay, well, give me another scenario. I'll throw scenarios at him, all day, and it can range from someone stealing, someone hurting, someone two people that aren't at fault, that they're out there trying to get what's best for them, and unfortunately that conflicts with another person, and then this conflict arises, and there's not always a mediator or such and such nearby to help quash the squabble. So in the immediate I guess in the immediate moment, how do we deal with these things that when blood boils and tempers rise?
I mean, you gotta stoically, I guess. If you haven't read the Stoics, I would definitely recommend it. There's a lot of power and agency in accepting the reality of your situation and then acting accordingly with the power that you do have and the agency that you do have. Like, if you're still hung up on the tragedy and the miserableness of the state that we find ourselves in with the government, then a lot of your attention and effort is going to be directed at that worry, and that worry is not going to help much. But and there's a certain amount of peace. It's saying, okay, well, I was born at a time in the history of the human species where the government still exists and people are just now, barely starting to wake up. And that's the reality of where I'm at in the timeline of history. So what am I going to do about it? Like, okay, well, that's my situation. That's my life. I was born now. I can choose to end my life if I don't like it bad enough, but I don't think it's that bad by any means. So, okay, I'm going to choose to live. And now that I've made that decision, I have to accept the reality of the situation as part of that choice to live. And now I can decide, okay, this is the situation. Let's pull the levers that I have to pull. Let's do the things that I have the power to do to make the world a better place for myself or my kids and everyone else. That's how I look at it. Did that answer your question?
Kinda. I mean, but we still, I guess we don't enforce, we don't manipulate, we don't coerce. So I guess the best we do is make suggestions to others that don't feel the same, educate, I guess. I mean, you can't convince others to live this way.
Yeah, I mean, if I get sideways of some agorists, and maybe Outlaw Barber here. I forgot your real name again, but your nickname is cool, so I'm going to use that.
Yeah, let's do.
I get sideways of agorists because they say things like, and this might not be Outlaw's position, but they say things like, if you get a driver's license, you're consenting to the state. And if you use a bank, you're colluding with the banking cartels. And like the only way to do freedom is to subject yourself to the state of being, of living outside of polite society, and not getting a job where taxes are withheld and, things like that. I think those people go way too far. I think this is your life. You have one of them. This is your shot. This is your chance. You only live once. and you need to choose your freedom. And if your freedom is existing in a job with a bank account, that what makes you happy, and that's your freedom, then, you know, it would be almost unanarchic for somebody to tell you shouldn't do those things. Just because a thief robs you as part of the process doesn't ever in any way put the culpability for that theft back on you. That's an inversion of morality. So I guess what I'm trying to say, the summary is, make the best of it. Like, make the best of the one life that you have, and, you know, do as much activism as you feel the need to do. And the only time I would say you have like a moral obligation to make the world a better place is if you choose to have children. If you bring people into the world, I think you have an obligation to make the world as much of a better place as you have the power to make it while you're alive, for the sake of those kids that you created. But aside from that, you know, live happy. Do the best you can. Don't hurt people. Don't take their stuff, and try and get as many other people to do the same thing.
And just let the government kind of fall apart on its own.
What other option is there?
I guess that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping we can come up with someday here.
Well, the government exists as a superstition, a mass superstition in the minds of a bunch of people. So the way you destroy the government is not by attacking buildings. That's not the government. The government is the superstition and the belief in their authority. And the way you attack that is by having conversations with people, and one person, one mind at a time, deleting that invalid superstition in the just authority of the government. That is how you attack the government.
You sound like one of those guys.
Uh-oh. What does that mean?
Not one of those guys. I mean, one of those guys, that's his screen name. One of those guys. Him and Cliff.
Oh, okay.
I talked to him and Cliff in another Discord. I think it's the High Impact Discord.
Oh, I don't know that guy. I don't know who that is. So
they sound very similar to you. It's, you know, you do the best you can, but there's not a whole lot we can do.
Well, I mean, that's what happens anyways, though. Sorry to interrupt.
Say it again?
That's what happens anyways. Like, you know, if the state collapses, what do we do, you know? And we would do what we normally always do, you know? We would still interact with the people we always interact with. But the belief in government is a disease in the mind, you know? So as soon as that vanishes, we're all free.
Yeah, I mean, if there was like a magic button we could push to end the government today, sure, push it. But there isn't. So I think violent rebellion is the worst option, because it will harden the minds and hearts of anybody watching that violence take place, and it'll, you know, put you and every label you've ever used for yourself in the category of evil in all the people watching's minds. Because that's just how people work. And this is the Martin Luther King strategy, right? Like, I've talked about this many times, and it really works. Humans' default reaction when they see someone hurting another person is they shy away from it. They don't like the person doing the harming. And so what Martin Luther King did is he marched up the street knowing that people are going to attack them for marching. And they said, we will win you over with our capacity to suffer. And so, they marched, and they got their asses kicked in full view of everybody, and all the people watching on, they saw it, and they had a conscience, and slowly slavery, the war was won. Racism was defeated.
I almost wonder if that's a great idea, like you said, when you, we're going to become a police officer, and you saw behind the curtain, basically. He said, okay, screw all this, crap. I was the same way. I was, 20 something, and I was trying to go into the Marines, and I saw all the camaraderie and this and that, and asking all the questions and not getting the answers that you want. It's like, well, okay, so you just want brainless, jarheads to go in there and start fights. That tells me everything I need to know. And from that point on, I started trying to ask questions as to, how did it get to this, and why is it so bad, and why is it, that we have to have it this way? everything started hitting me, all at once. So, and back then you didn't have internet and all that stuff to tell you, give you all the answers quickly. You had to read books. You had to find this information very slowly. And I think kids these days don't realize how easy they have it.
That's true. That's true.
I know they get a lot of disinformation, but the answers are there a lot quicker.
I almost want to read this entire page of MLK's writing on this.
You agree?
I'm sorry, I was muted. You couldn't hear me. Yes, I agree.
Oh.
I think you're right. I found the quote. Martin Luther King wrote some great stuff. I want to read part of it, but it's kind of long, but it's my show, so I'm going to do what I want. So I want to read this by Martin Luther King. I'd like to take just a minute to say something about the philosophy of nonviolence, because in our struggle, this has been the most important undergirding philosophy, and I still believe that nonviolence is the most potent weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for freedom and human dignity. This method has a way of disarming the opponent. It exposes his moral defenses, it weakens his morale, and at the same time it works on his conscience, and he just doesn't know how to handle it. If he doesn't beat you, wonderful. If he beats you, you develop the quiet courage of accepting blows without retaliating. If he doesn't put you in jail, wonderful. Nobody with any sense loves to go to jail, but if he puts you in jail, you go in that jail and transform it from a dungeon of shame to a haven of freedom and human dignity. Even if he tries to kill you, you develop the inner conviction that there are some things so dear, some things so eternally true, some things so precious that they're worth dying for. And if a man has not discovered something that he will die for, in a sense, he is not fit to live. And the nonviolent discipline that says there is power in this approach, precisely because it disarms the opponent and exposes his moral defenses. It also says that it is possible to work for moral ends through moral means. One of the great debates of history has been over the whole question of ends and means. And there have been those that argue that the ends justify the means. This is where nonviolence would break within a system. It argues that the end justifies the means, recognizing that the end is pre-existent in the means. The means represent the ideal in making and the end in progress. And in the long run of history, destructive means cannot bring about constructive ends. And along with this is the growing realization that it is possible to take a stand against an unjust evil system without developing hatred and bitterness towards the perpetrators of that unjust and evil system. And so, when nonviolence is true in its most genuine respect to its basic precepts, the love ethic has a place, and a central place. Now I always have to stop and explain what I mean when I talk about love and this movement, and in the nonviolent context, because people raise a question all the time. What do you mean when you say love those who are oppressing you, and love those who are exploiting you, and those who are violently seeking to destroy you? And certainly when I talk about love at this point, I'm not talking about emotional bosh. I am not talking about some sentimental or even some affectionate emotion. I'm talking about something much deeper. It would be nonsense to urge oppressed people to love their violent oppressors in an affectionate sense. Fortunately, the Greek language comes to our aid at this point. There are 3 words in the Greek language for love. There is the word eros. Eros is a sort of aesthetic love. Plato used to talk about it in a great deal in his dialogues, the yearning of the soul for the realm of the divine. It has come to us to be sort of romantic love, and so in this sense, we all know about eros. We have read about it in all of the beauties of literature. We have experienced it in the sense that Edgar Allan Poe was talking about eros when he talked about his beautiful Annabel Lee with the love surrounded by the halo of eternity. In a sense, Shakespeare was talking about eros when he said love is not love which alters when it alteration. I don't think this is spelled correctly. In a sense, Shakespeare was talking about eros when he said love is not love which alters when its alteration finds, bends with the remover to remove it, is an ever fixed mark that looks on that is a garbled sentence. It is a star to every wandering bark. You know I can remember that because I used to quote it to my wife when we were courting. That's eros. Then the Greek language talks about philia, which is another level of love. It is a kind of intimate affection between personal friends. On this level, you love because you are loved. You love the people that you like. This is friendship. And then the Greek language comes out with another word. It is the word agape. Now, agape is more than romantic love. Agape is more than friendship. Now, agape is understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill for all men. It is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. Theologians would say that it is the love of God operating in the human heart. And when one rises to love on this level, he is able to love the person who does the evil deed, while hating the deed that the person does. And he is able to love those persons that he even finds it difficult to like, for he begins to look beneath the surface, and he discovers that that individual who may be brutal toward him and who may be prejudiced was taught that way, was a child of his culture. At times, his school taught him that way. At times, his church taught him that way. At times, his family taught him that way. And the thing to do is change the structure and the evil system so that he can grow and develop as a mature individual devoid of prejudice. And this is the kind of understanding goodwill that the nonviolent resistor can follow if he is true to the love ethic. And so he can rise to the point of being able to look into the face of his most violent opponent and say, in substance, do to us what you will, and we will still love you. We will match your capacity to inflict suffering by our capacity to endure suffering. We will meet your physical force with soul force. And do to us what you will, and we will still love you. We cannot in good conscience obey your unjust laws because non-cooperation with evil is as much a moral obligation as is cooperation with good. And so throw us in jail. And as difficult as that is, we will still love you. Bomb our homes and threaten our children. And as difficult as it is, we will still love you. Send your hooded perpetrators and violence into our communities at the midnight hours and drag us out on some wayside road and beat us and leave us half dead, and we will still love you. But be assured that we will, But be assured that we will wear you down by our capacity to suffer. And one day we will win our freedom. But we will not only win freedom for ourselves, we will so appeal to your heart and your conscience that we will win you in the process. And our victory will be a double victory. This is the meaning of the nonviolent creed. Excuse me. I can never read that without getting choked up. I apologize.
Oh, man.
Where is that from? I've never heard that.
Martin Luther King. I can send you guys a link.
Please do.
It almost sounded like a book. That was like, that wasn't just a little, tagline.
No, that was like page 5 of a little 6-page article that he wrote.
Really?
Keep going, man. Let's hear the rest.
Maybe I'll read that as a let's read on the channel sometime. I probably put too much time into it today, so thanks for indulging me, guys. But I think that's the strategy. That's the strategy. That's how we change the world. We have conversations with people. We live justly and rightly. We refuse, even on pain of death, to follow laws that we know are immoral. We live good lives. We are good people, and we create what we want to see in the world. And that's how we do it. And it's not going to be fast, and it's not going to be pain-free, but we will wear them down with our capacity to suffer.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm a Malcolm X guy myself.
That sounds like lead by example, and I get it.
It's beautiful.
I guess, like you said, it's not quick and it's not painless.
Think of how much pain they went through, and think of how good society is right now, Patrick. I mean, it's still the state, but Man, those words were heavy. That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and like compared to what they were dealing with, our life is pretty freaking good. Like we don't have a lot to complain about compared to the violence that he was putting up with at the time he wrote that. So, yeah. All right. Well, let me check with Fallstar real quick. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about, Stiggs?
Oh, that kind of took the wind out of my sails. I can't really argue with you anymore.
I'm sorry about that. That's what I think about.
Patrick, I'll still argue with you.
What'd you say?
I would just say, I agree. It's a great principle. It's a great philosophy, and I've lived that way all my life. I don't disagree whatsoever with any of that. I just, on a practical sense, I have things that are pending in my life, on the immediate horizon. I think, things people want some solutions to come quicker, and I'm no different.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm definitely with you. I would love for a solution to, a month from now, I want to transition to a free society. Can we put that on the calendar, please? Yeah, I don't think it's going to work that way.
No.
All right, Fallstar, do we have anybody else?
We do not.
All right. Thank you for your help, sir. Thanks for letting me drag you back around between voice channels.
No problem. I consent completely.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Stiggs. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. I'm going to talk to you again soon.
All right. Okay, guys. Let's end it there. Outlaw, anything else you want to say?
No, Patrick, it was an honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and I will always continue to follow your work and Christians, and hopefully I can get down to Texas and help out with that charity stuff. And I'll keep you up to date on all my stuff. And everybody subscribe to my Odyssey channel, Outlaw Barber. I'm no longer on YouTube, so.
Awesome. Outlaw Barber. What?
But yeah, that's it, man. I really appreciate you, Patrick. Thanks for those words, man. Those were really heavy at the end. Feel good, man. It really does.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, what you're doing,
Well, hell yeah. And if you ever have anything going on up in Oklahoma, let me know. Maybe I can make it up there. I don't think you're too far away. You're like 4 hours from Dallas, right? So.
Yeah, about 3 hours.
All right. Awesome. Everybody, thanks for hanging out in chat. Thanks for coming on. I will see you guys later.